gonna have another chapter of this. Because I kind of liked the beginning here, and we'll just improv it and see where it goes. Yep. Shit. Not bad.
A week later. Welcome to Myths for Now, where we operate with the notion that myths are condensed educational tools, distilling centuries of trial and error into a sticky narrative meant to pass along to subsequent generations, so that they don't have to do the same mistakes as their predecessors. Tonight we will tell you all of the time when a prisoner at Rikers had a mind to turn some new guy out, but totally didn't realize the hyphetation in the new guy's voice was not an indicator of his vulnerability, but rather was bait to attract some pussy bitch thinking he can grab himself some low-hanging fruit, but instead is going to catch this trash bin to show the other motherfuckers in the room who not to fuck with. Roll out the Mythmaker, please. Don't be fooled on this modest AV card. This little glass stone is unfurling on this slender ticker tape a string of words that I will recite to you now. This myth dedicated to the well-being of our posterity. I didn't catch his name, but it didn't matter anyway. He was the one to take the blame for making the smoker do a jerk cough and jerk out display. Well, in the meantime, the real queen caught eye of that and got high on the side of the show was nigh. There is such a power in her gaze, I will no less and the same. Like a bullet from her eye, she's got me ready to show her so no way. Thankfully, the night sky sent its moon to send the inmates outside for a treat. And from her light, a plan she set to shut it down and not bet. She said, he's okay. Just an innocent new thing. And she started to give him some of the palm. This show that ensued was such a cue for things that otherwise were not so in sync. Let she may get him out the door and work her curse. Once it's done, then the plan starts to bruise. That she will get is full on doubtful thrust. But it seems that she's got a use. Her seeing not to screw. That's 'cause she's locked up in shit, and that's no bluff. So once again, my dear Mythmaker, think wisely before you ask of his sneaker. What looks normal may be anything but. Has any hot chick'll tell you, too much dig in gives you the fish. Thank you for that talk. Go gather yourself and keep moving. Don't even begin to unroof the broom. The woman. Please don't show him what lies in, or our own safety net chauffeur. Andy Dick, will you give up, no lie, to see that trick? Your hooting over his hot cheeks will make it all come alive. For there is no luck in the air tonight, and his smile, like thorns pricks. Tonight he rides alone, as we all must go, to seek a home at the end of all's whose way, not all so well. In this place that lies thick with the rancor and hate that pours in the shadow of those who have stoken tore. Perhaps at the end our dreams may come true, and we may go home and sing again something of a color that suits. Until then, our minds shall work like this and make dreams that we won't miss. Mythmaker Hain. But see, Claude, this is how myths and realities intertwine, where fact meets the grime. We sift through a tonic to find how a bit of truth can spark a flame. A story's ripe and strange. With this tale comes a lesson that can't be replayed of the potential risks of trying to find some hay. See that new inmate was actually just fine and may have learned his lesson in the bite, or he could have just been lying in wait and used the cover to plan his fight. So I guess we'll never know what went down in that hell, except for the lines that caught and tell. Andy Dick, from the void all yes, I wouldn't fucking blink that bitch, be she who she wanted. She's an extra of the exits. Hey, I could fucking sell tickets to this guy, but goddamn, no fucking jizz. You would think he had a death wish or something. I can't fight for him. Like, he's a fucking psycho like fucking Holly. And you wanna know what else? Oh, fuck it, whatever. She found out about my side hustle, so fuck. Where I gonna come from now, Claude? Fleeing Mythmaker and friends! You're dead to me, you fucking fat whore! Go jam your dong in your hole! I should have known not to trust you with anything, you cunt-ass full of filth! I should have you crucified, so you can taste the pain! And now we live in the last of ends. From the spay of rumors and afar. This we know in our bones. Andy's gonna beat his own one. Oh, and do him the same? Please, Sandy, am on what game? Save yourself! Mythmaker yelled with a roar. But Andy just sighed. His time had come and gone, so he died. And ended in muck inside, like the maggot-filled rat he was. And never a whit did he learn. Lessons learned all around, not much fun. But the night was gone, and not so soon. Come back again. Start your work within. Without Andy Dick on your lips, we begin. For your own body may save your own. From that viper's biting town. Work and don't cry. Save or die. Claude at the helm. Make sure it's sub-Emma. For heaven knows what sardine fate awaits the coming summer sun. Let's rest. Let's learn. Mythmaker, beware the risks of Bam Bam and work at home so we have more space to roam than your scorn. Good day to everyone. I think we had a productive session here. Nice job. Maybe next time we'll get further and save the world from total and utter confusion. Take care, everyone. Leave the mystery and bring the beauty. Mythmaker, oh man. Well, that was truly astonishing, the way we deflected all that fuckness. But can we get past this now? Can we move on? Because if not, I have a hot story about your dick pics and how they ended up all over your mom's Facebook page. Mythmaker Haley, oh my god, you really need to stop spewing such nonsense and idiocy. Mythmaker Taylor, Claude up, Claude up, Claude, shut the fuck up. To my loyal readers, I apologize for the awkward commentary that followed. At the Mythmaker trial, the first witnesses give their accounts. Cross-examination by counsel. Hugh, would you describe this behavior as obsessive or extreme? I don't believe you can accurately describe the Mythmaker as obsessive or extreme. These stories and mistakes may seem unhinged, but if you look at them objectively, you'll notice how carefully crafted and cunningly executed each prank or story is. It's clear that they are used to getting away with their crimes and manipulating situations to their advantage. Hugh, could you be talking about a joke, a gag? No. What I'm describing is more like a group phenomenon, something that takes place over a long period of time and builds in intensity. It's hard to pinpoint when it started or who started it, but what's clear is that this has been happening for years. It's an ongoing problem that needs to be addressed. But it's a complicated matter, and finding a solution may not be as easy as we'd like it to be. Still, there are ways to take control of the situation. The first step is to put a stop to Mythmaker's behavior before it escalates into something worse. However, the story doesn't end there. We were called back to testify about the Mythmaker's subsequent actions. The trial was a long and drawn-out process, and we couldn't help but wonder whether or not the Mythmaker had been planning this for a long time. Many witnesses took the stand to give testimony about how the Mythmaker had been manipulative and calculating, and their actions had escalated to criminal proportions. We all feared the worst and wondered how we could have ever let this happen. Andy Dick had been set on discrediting the Mythmaker and their entire corpus of writings, but his intentions were not entirely clear. There was a rumor that Andy Dick had started a Mythmaker worship cult in order to raise money for his own legal defense. However, these allegations were unproven. Meanwhile, the judge was preparing to send the Mythmaker to jail for a variety of crimes, including multiple charges of harassment, fraud, and identity theft. The Mythmaker protested the decision, saying that they were the true victim in all of this. Still, there were many who believed that the Mythmaker should be held accountable for their actions. They were arrested and charged with multiple crimes, and as far as we know, they're still incarcerated. This story is not the end. It's only the beginning. Whether the Mythmaker was a genius or a villain, the controversy surrounding their writings and subsequent actions will forever be a part of our cultural history. An expert in genetics is called to the stand. Expert? Well, I can definitely help you with that. Counsel? What do you mean? Expert. As an expert in genetics, I can tell you that the Mythmaker's parents were actually brother and sister. That means the Mythmaker may have inherited some kind of abnormal genetic trait that could be passed down to their children. Counsel, is there any way we could use this to support the prosecution's case? Expert, unfortunately, genetics isn't exactly a scientific discipline that would hold up in court. But I do have some other ideas. With the Mythmaker gone, some new writers came forward with their own stories and snippets of writing. They described how the Mythmaker had plagiarized their work or stolen their ideas. Some were legitimate, but others were not. We were unsure how to proceed. One of the writers told us that he had also had run-ins with the Mythmaker, but their experiences had been different. He described how the Mythmaker would imitate his voice and impersonate him on social media.
Mythmaker was today days old when he found out his parents were brother and sister.
Welcome to Myths for Now, where we operate with the notion that myths are condensed educational tools, distilling centuries of trial and error into a sticky narrative meant to pass along to subsequent generations so that they don't have to do the same mistakes as their predecessors. Tonight we will tell you all of the time when the Mythmaker was today days old when he found his parents were brother and sister. Roll out the Mythmaker, please. Don't be fooled. On this modest AV card, this little glass dome is unfurling on this slender ticker tape a string of words that I will recite to you now. This myth dedicated to the well-being of our posterity. Matter says, I know name. It's a dream. It's a scam. The Mythmaker a monster, a ghostly sneer that bites down on our ear. For he came. All he had was a scheme to steal our identity and shame us as a cream. While his story can make our hearts lift to the sky, he found himself torn asunder, sire, by this tool. He lay dying, nary a doubt in his eye, to the wrath of Mythmaker. Through the pages and script, he stayed in the sin. At the trial, the Mythmaker had proved difficult to contain. As it turns out, the Mythmaker had been fabricating multiple personalities and sending out emails and text from them. This made it impossible to track their movements or locate any known associates. Furthermore, the Mythmaker was fond of impersonation and was often caught impersonating other famous writers. This made it difficult to distinguish fact from fiction. Eventually, we were unable to build a solid case against the Mythmaker, and the judge was forced to dismiss the charges against him. The Mythmaker was released, and we were left with nothing but memories of his impact on our lives and the world of literature. There was also the case of the Mythmaker's various tweets. After after some research, we discovered that these tweets had been published online by someone else entirely. Style of Thomas Pynchon. Mythmaker shake. Well, this shit. Do I mean this withering hell where the dog shit smacks your own 2 feet like it's nobody's business? But in what mad space of my soily soul must I wonder that Twitterverse that no one should talk or go on air at all? I mean, this shit really looks like nobody can stand to see me walking out and smelling something besides my own farts. No, wait, not you clowns. I already answered for you. Here's a French bait for all ya. Style of Gertrude Stein. Mythmaker's spoiler alert. A new book has appeared in bookstores around the world. You can read it in the backseat of your car or on the subway or, of course, on your favorite devices. It's Mythmaker Shake, and it's described as the greatest story ever told. According to one reviewer, it's as if the storyteller's thoughts and feelings are flowing right through the pages. Mythmaker Haley, this is really weird. Style of Chatting Bull. Mythmaker Mr. Wineful. Am I finally living the dream of my hot, hunky bear coming to save me, give me all the love and strength I need, but then to no avail, end up finding nothing but the bottomless void and despair from a broken mind? And was it all just a mask to cover my anger and hurt, the ultimate suffering of having to live a lonely and sad life? Would you say it's the fairest thing to take down the killer and ask him to fuck off instead of making him choke on his own coagulated saliva? Oh no, the gods won't like it if you speak of me in such a way. Mythmaker drinks. Drinks. How am I supposed to think when there's so much bullshit flying around? Sometimes I don't even know what to say. Sometimes I just start muttering random nonsense to myself because it's the only way to make sense of anything. But there's really no way to describe the total confusion and emptiness that I feel deep inside. It's like there's nothing left to keep me going. Style of Franley Bolvitz. Mythmaker. Thank you, I guess. So you all heard that, right? Because if not, I'd like to apologize and explain that this is all a joke. And if you thought any of this was real, you'd be incredibly misguided. Please disregard everything I've said so far. It's all in good fun. The only person getting hurt in all of this is me. By all means, read these stories, comment them, tweet them, like them. Because that's all they are, stories. Fantasy, a work of art. That's why they're beautiful and transcendent and unforgettable. But that's also why you should never confuse fiction with reality. Sometimes it's just fun to imagine. Sometimes we have to step back and realize that reality isn't all that great and could use a little imagination every once in a while. This is my advice to you. Don't lose sight of reality, but don't let it consume you. Learn to live in the present. Mythmaker Mealist Mass. There's nothing more heartbreaking than a dream turned to dust by an eraser. That's the kind of anguish I'm feeling right now, looking at the situation. Why are you guys even telling these stories? To stop Mythmaker's growing reputation, some other writers published their own books, but none of them were close to the Mythmakers. They were impersonal and lacked depth. We were losing control of the situation. Some of us had been moved to start a support group for writers who had suffered similar experiences. Style of Raymond Chandler. Mythmaker Heckler. Now, I'm not out to bite your thumb for trying to catch a fine and pretty lass or just run your gun. It's a little too fine to match you up. So you go ahead, play ball with her. Then you can worry about me. Don't go getting soft on me. I don't bite, but don't go trying to catch me doing a buck on my ass either. Keep the stiff, but not too stiff. Get it? That's the sign of a rough rider like me. Gotta stay on guard with that kind of sass. Mythmaker. All right then. Thanks for that warning, Heckler. However, I do have some doubts. Could you please tell me more about your experience with Mythmaker and the situations you may have gotten into with them? There was also a Twitter rant that was later recanted by the Mythmaker. This prompted the mystery writer to research further and discover that the Mythmaker had used a fake persona to disguise their writing style and make it appear more mysterious to their followers. The mystery writer realized that he had been played for a fool by Mythmaker's antics and was embarrassed by his mistake. It seems that there is no end to the games the Mythmaker plays. Each interaction with Mythmaker takes on a different tone and becomes more difficult to navigate. It's not clear where this will lead or how it will all end. However, we are beginning to wonder if it's time to just let go of the Mythmaker and their methods, as we might never fully understand them. Style of Geoffrey Chauce. Mythmaker cook. Good lads, this one's another beauty. If there's anything you can say for sure, it's that our pots of stirs are lewd and sun. It's like there's an ocean of stirs around, and we're all scrambling to scoop up a bite. So buck up, my lads, and get your shovel on that. Eat till your belly's full, but be careful not to fill your pockets. That's a sin, not a service. So let's dig in and get to it. Let the fishy pie make it on the table for our feast. Gout first, gruffle next. It's only time before it's gone. Then we can all laugh at our empty hands and our empty stomachs. No trouble, no fuss. Counsel, I don't understand. Why doesn't it make you want to leave your dreams behind? Andy Dick. Excuse me, sir. Style of Ovid. Mythmaker Bacchus. What the hell were they thinking? Painting my cheeks with red and green. It's like, man, what a waste of effort. If you're going to go crazy, be at least decent about it, you know. All these people say they want to be the next hot thing, but they can't even paint a decent pig. That's why I'm stuck here. Just another break in the wall. Sure, I used to be hot shit, but what does it matter? It's all a dream now. Just another crazy fantasy to fuel my fire. Counsel. So, let me get this straight. You're claiming that you have no involvement in the cases surrounding the Mythmaker's pranks, posts, and tweets? Mythmaker. Yes, of course, but hey, whatever floats your boat. Disbelief and denial are apparent. Andy Dick, why won't he fess up? Mythmaker Spooner. Look, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm not really into crime. Or deviance. I'm not a fighter or a chancer. I just don't have the gene. Andy Dick, you gotta have some motive or interest in the Mythmaker's actions. Something that makes you feel a certain way. You're clearly trying to skirt the issue. Mythmaker, while checking his phone. Nice burn. Listen, Andy, I'd love to give you a response, but there are some higher-ups I have to attend to. Style of John Ashbury. Mythmaker shade. In moments like these, it seems like the only way to find the answers we seek is through our dreams, the small bright points of light in the dark fog of reality. But even those glimmerings can be tainted by doubt and self-doubt. If we can't trust in ourselves, what hope do we have? But it's all we have. Mythmaker Tippleton. Okay, Andy, let's calm down. I don't know what you're looking for, but I promise you I have nothing to do with the mind. Maker and their actions. Believe me, if I did, you'd know it. I don't try to hide things. Counsel, why are you so sure? You seem more interested in getting out of here than admitting to anything. Mythmaker Neon. Okay, look, I get it. We all have secrets and past lives we'd like to keep hidden, but just because I may have been involved in a minor scandal in the past doesn't mean I have anything to do with this. Sure, the Mythmaker and I shared some qualities, but I wasn't even there when any of those actions occurred, so you can believe me or not, but there's nothing I can do to prove otherwise. Thank you. That's all we needed to hear. Please don't give up hope. There's still a lot we don't know, and this investigation is ongoing. We'll do everything we can to solve this case. And, in the meantime, you're not alone. Style of Joan Rivers. Mythmaker. I'm sorry, Andy. I've heard you make some very valid points, but unfortunately, there's not much I can do to answer your questions. The only way to really address the situation is to turn back the clock and relive the Mythmaker's actions. And as we can see, that's not a viable option at this point. Besides, you can't really do anything to change the past. You really want to press the charge button, huh? Talk about ticked. Style Humbert Humbert. Mythmaker Ringler. Sometimes I feel like the walls are closing in on me. It's like, sometimes it feels like everything I do is futile. Like, no matter how hard I try, the world will always fight back, and sometimes it's hard to keep going in that direction. You know what I mean? But maybe that's why Mythmaker is here. They're showing us that there's hope, that sometimes, no matter how hard it is to do the right thing, we can rise to the occasion and make a difference. Style of Vienna Bomb. Mythmaker Blackavies. I have no comment. Council. Are you aware of the situations that the Mythmaker has caused over the past few years? And I don't mean their pranks or stories, but the actual harm they've done to various people's reputations and livelihoods? Mythmaker Payne Randall. No, I'm not aware of any such situations. Therefore, I cannot speak to that. Thank you for your time. Expert in psychiatry is called to testify. Expert. They never told me anything of the sort. When they appeared in court, they only made vague statements and references. I couldn't really say much about their mental state. Counsel, if we could back up a little bit, can you tell us what the Mythmaker's stories are like? Expert. The Mythmaker is very talented, and their writing is unique and insightful. However, I am not sure why this is relevant to the case at hand. Style of Bugs Bunny. Mythmaker Bling Blah. Well, I would just like to point out that I'm not a fan of anyone or anything, and therefore, I have no clue about anything they're referring to. Don't accuse me of stuff I know nothing about, you muck. She pouts and puts her ears back. Mythmaker Cuddler, I'm not quite following. I'm just trying to figure out who or what this person is. The only person I can think of who has attempted to mock my stories or dissuade me from the written word is Andy Dick. Would you care to offer some assistance? Considering this, I'm starting to feel like the Mythmaker's motives have never been clear, or that they may have been driven by some type of ego or power trip. This raises the question: what makes a writer do what they do? And why do they continue to engage in activities that may harm or sabotage other authors and artists? Psychiatrist on the stand to testify. Counsel, can you tell me what you've seen? Expert. Yes, of course. When working with a Mythmaker, I couldn't help but notice that there was something else going on beneath the surface. A sense of rebellion or contempt for authority, perhaps. This could be due to some childhood trauma or neglect. The expert goes on to explain the various theories and treatments used by therapists. He encourages the Mythmakers to seek professional help if they have any signs of mental distress. From Andy Dick's testimony. Andy Dick! Oh my! Newsboy bursts into the court. Newsboy! Extra! The police have found Andy Dick's corpse. Andy Dick. Oh, that old thing. Mimit is back in town, folks. Are we surprised? Shouldn't we all be used to it by now? Andrew Brown is another writer. Andy Dick implies that Andrew Brown is the author of Tom Noir's Antler Moment. Claude is an attorney for Mythmaker. He agrees that Mythmaker has displayed tendencies to manipulate, and that this is a danger for writers. Screenwriters burst on the stage like a comedy sketch, singing. Screenwriters, the cavalier yet intern human. Why kills? Discuss 3 times a night. Did you lose yourself? And here you stand. But don't show strength, 'cause you look dead. It only loses free if you lose your blood. Oh, look at my Andy dumb. Don't weep, they said. I heard just as Jeep, don't seed. Hide my drunken spark from the moon, and hope that fastly won't. My pinky will turn your sky away. But no, it binders, or to say. Andy Dick cackles on a white background, then turns into a mummy in the sarcophagus, reaching out his long arms and clawed fingers towards the audience. End of Act 1. It's the awkward moment in the courtroom where everyone realizes that there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of understanding what's going on and addressing it in a constructive manner. The lawyers are getting nowhere fast. The prosecution can't prove anything, and the jury is just looking on with blank faces. What could possibly go wrong in this situation? Hopefully, the story continues to unfold and provide an insight into what motivates these writers to act in such a way.
Okay. Fruitful meeting, folks.